the next 3 days, talk to yourself like someone who finally understands the weight of their own words. Because every sentence you whisper into your spirit carries the power to either imprison you or release you. You cannot afford another day of speaking casually over your own destiny. You cannot live another moment as if your voice carries no authority. You cannot go into the next season repeating the same defeated language that chained you to the last one. If your tongue can build a world or burn one down, then you are standing in the middle of what your words created. And for the next 3 days, you must take responsibility for that creation and reshape it. There is nothing more dangerous than a believer who talks to themselves incorrectly, and nothing more unstoppable than one who finally learns how to speak with spiritual precision, because heaven responds to a voice that aligns with purpose. You have spent too long letting circumstances speak louder than your calling, and too long letting fear outrun your faith by the sentences you rehearse in your own mind. Now your spirit is demanding a recalibration. For 3 days you must speak with intentional fire. For 3 days you must command your atmosphere. For 3 days you must talk to yourself the way God talks about you. You must remind your soul who it belongs to. You must tell your thoughts who leads them. You must tell your emotions who governs them. You must tell your doubts who destroys them. Speak to yourself like someone who has finally awakened from spiritual sleep. Speak like someone who refuses to be the victim of their own vocabulary. Speak like someone who understands that silence is not neutral, because silence always allows old lies to echo unchecked. For 3 days, your words must become a weapon sharper than the lies that have followed you, stronger than the disappointment that weakened you, louder than the insecurity that stalked you, and more consistent than the fear that tried to mold you. Talk to yourself like someone who knows heaven is listening. Talk to yourself like someone who knows hell is threatened. Talk to yourself like someone who knows the future is being shaped in real time by every declaration that leaves your mouth. Your inner narrative has been contaminated long enough, and contamination grows quietly until it becomes your identity. You were not defeated by the attack. You were defeated by the way you talk to yourself after the attack. You were not crushed by rejection. You were crushed by the internal conversation that followed it. You were not limited by your past. You were limited by the words you rehearsed about your past. 3 days of correcting that internal conversation can interrupt years of wrong programming. Tell yourself, I will not think small. I will not shrink back. I will not attach my worth to people who could not see me. I will not define myself through the lens of those who mishandled me. I will not let old wounds tell me who I am. I will not speak from scars I never allowed God to heal. Talk like someone who has authority over their own narrative. Tell yourself, I am chosen, I am strengthened, I am being rebuilt, I am being redefined, I am being restored. Tell yourself that what God put in you is greater than what life took from you. Tell yourself that your destiny is louder than your trauma. Tell yourself that your calling is stronger than your confusion. For the next 3 days, you must talk as if your future hears you, because it does. Every word you speak travels ahead of you and prepares a place for you. Every declaration becomes a builder, constructing tomorrow while you are still standing in today. If your life has been unstable, it is because your self-talk has been unstable. You cannot pray like a warrior and then talk to yourself like a victim. You cannot worship like a conqueror and then talk to yourself like someone barely surviving. You cannot ask God for mountains while telling yourself you are too weak to climb. Alignment begins internally, so speak in alignment. Talk to yourself with so much clarity that confusion has no room to negotiate with you. Talk with so much hope that despair loses its assignment. Talk with so much faith that fear suffocates. Talk with so much conviction that hesitation dies before it reaches your lips. For the next 3 days, you must treat your words as sacred instruments, not emotional reactions. You must speak deliberately, not randomly. You must correct your internal climate every time it tries to shift into storm mode. You must remind yourself that you are not who the world said you were, and you are not who your failures tried to label you. You are who God declared you to be before your first breath and after your last mistake. This is not motivational speech. This is a spiritual command over your own soul. Your soul gets tired when your language is toxic. Your soul gets weary when your mind attacks it daily. Your soul gets wounded when you speak like an enemy instead of an ally. For 3 days, tell your soul, I am on your side. Tell your soul, we are going forward. Tell your soul, we are leaving the old patterns behind. Tell your soul, we are not negotiating our value. Tell your soul, we are not repeating what broke us. Tell your soul, we are aligning with God's design, not our emotional confusion. Talk to yourself with the reverence of someone speaking prophecy. You are not just saying words, you are setting direction. You are not just expressing feelings, you are establishing truth. You are not just uplifting yourself, you are commanding your next season. For 3 days, do not let any sentence escape your mouth that contradicts where you are going. Do not let any thought live in your mind that attacks your identity. Do not let any emotion guide your tongue without spiritual permission. You must become the gatekeeper of your own mouth. Tell yourself, I am rising. Tell yourself, I am changing. Tell yourself, I am maturing. Tell yourself, I am stepping into clarity. Tell yourself, I am breaking patterns. Tell yourself, I am rebuilding my identity. Tell yourself, I am done apologizing for my growth. Tell yourself, I am done shrinking to fit broken environments. Tell yourself, I am done defending my worth to people who never recognized it. Speak like someone who is done negotiating with dysfunction. For 3 days, talk to yourself like a soldier in training, not a civilian in fear. Tell yourself, discipline is forming in me. Tell yourself, strength is developing in me. Tell yourself, self-control is growing in me. Tell yourself, wisdom is settling in me. Tell yourself, purpose is rising in me. For 3 days you must speak until your spirit stands up straight, until your posture changes, until your mind stops dragging your heart backward, until your self-perception shifts from wounded to warrior. You have talked yourself into fear, now talk yourself into courage. You have talked yourself into unworthiness, now talk yourself into confidence. You have talked yourself into delay, now talk yourself into acceleration. You have talked yourself into emotional captivity, now talk yourself into spiritual liberation. Talk to yourself like someone who understands that breakthrough starts internally before it manifests externally. For 3 days, your conversations with yourself must carry the same seriousness as prayer, because self-talk is the language your mind prays in when your mouth is silent. If you do not take control of that language, it will continue to betray you. You must tell your inner critic to sit down. You must tell your doubt to be quiet. You must tell your insecurity to stop interrupting destiny. Talk to yourself like someone who has finally realized that God gave you a voice, not just to speak to others, but to govern your own life. Tell yourself, I am not behind. Tell yourself, I am not late. Tell yourself, I am not forgotten. Tell yourself, I am not disqualified. Tell yourself, I am not ordinary. For 3 days, speak like someone who recognizes their assignment. Speak like someone who refuses to waste another season talking small. Speak like someone who refuses to repeat conversational cycles that murdered their confidence. Speak like someone who refuses to let their past vocabulary drag them back into old prisons. Speak like someone who refuses to betray their own purpose with their own mouth. For 3 days, talk to yourself with the intensity of someone fighting for their destiny. Talk with the boldness of someone who knows their voice carries spiritual weight. Talk with the clarity of someone who is tired of living under narratives they never chose. Talk with the courage of someone who chooses transformation over comfort. For 3 days, speak like someone who has decided that every word from this moment forward must serve your future, not sabotage it. Your mind obeys the loudest voice you repeat. And for too long, the loudest voice in your life has not been truth, nor purpose, nor destiny, but old programming that you never challenged. The mind is not loyal to your future. It is loyal to your patterns, and it will always follow the voice you feed it the most. If fear is the loudest voice, the mind will serve fear. If insecurity is the loudest voice, the mind will bow to insecurity. If doubt is the loudest voice, the mind will become the servant of doubt. But when you become your own spiritual command, when you rise up and speak with authority over your own internal world, your mind begins to shift. It stops following the voice of wounds and starts following the voice of assignment. For the next 3 days, you must become that voice. You cannot afford to let your mind drift like a leaf in a storm. A drifting mind leads to a drifting life. And drifting lives never walk into destiny on purpose. They just survive the seasons. You were not designed to survive seasons. You were designed to shape them. But you cannot shape anything until you take control of the conversation happening inside your mind. Every thought that enters your mind is not a thought you must keep, but your mind believes whatever you repeat, and repetition is the soil of identity. You will eventually become the echo you live in. This is why so many people feel stuck even after praying, fasting, and worshiping. Their spirit is willing, but their mind is repeating the wrong voice. For the next 3 days, you must become louder than your past. You must drown out every old lie with truth. You must confront every internal whisper that tells you you are not enough, not capable, not worthy, not ready. You must raise a new internal standard. You must become the commander of your own mental territory. Your mind is not the enemy. It is the battlefield where the enemy tries to win quietly. But the moment you raise your voice with spiritual clarity, the moment you begin to talk to yourself like someone who knows their identity, the battlefield starts to shift in your favor. The enemy thrives in silence, but he loses the moment you speak truth with conviction. Your mind does not follow good intentions. It follows clear instruction. When you talk to yourself with authority, your mind takes shape. It organizes itself. It aligns itself. It releases the confusion it once held on to. It begins to obey your purpose instead of your pain. The reason self-talk is powerful is because your mind is always listening, even when you are not aware. Thoughts do not need permission. They only need repetition. If you repeat weakness, your mind adapts. If you repeat strength, your mind adjusts. Your mind is a tool, and tools follow instructions. When you speak with clarity, your mind starts building. When you speak with doubt, your mind starts breaking. You must decide what you want your mind to build for the next 3 days. Talk to your mind like someone reclaiming stolen territory. Tell your mind what it will believe. Tell your mind what it will reject. Tell your mind what it will focus on. Tell your mind what it will release. For 3 days, remind your mind that you are not what you feel. You are who God says you are. Remind your mind that emotions are visitors, not masters. Remind your mind that fear is a suggestion, not an identity. Remind your mind that insecurity is an echo, not a truth. Remind your mind that doubt is a shadow, not your voice. For 3 days, treat your mind as if it is under new management. Speak to your mind like someone who finally understands that destiny does not begin when you arrive somewhere. Destiny begins when your mind agrees with where God is taking you. Some people are called but never move because their mind never accepts the instructions of heaven. Their feet cannot go where their mind refuses to travel. Your mind is the first place your destiny must land before it manifests physically. That is why you must talk to yourself like a commander, not a prisoner. You cannot whisper into a mind that has been trained by trauma. You must speak boldly to retrain it. You must talk with authority until your mind recognizes your voice as the governing force. Tell your mind, we are not going back to who we were. Tell your mind, we are not repeating old cycles. Tell your mind, we are not bowing to fear. Tell your mind, we are not negotiating worth. Tell your mind, we are not living from scarcity. Tell your mind, we are not surrendering to anxiety. Speak to your mind with the tone of someone who refuses to let their mental patterns sabotage another season. The mind cannot resist a consistent command. If you command it daily, it will follow. If you leave it unattended, it will wander back to what is familiar. For 3 days, you must remind your mind of the truth it keeps forgetting. Remind your mind that you are strong even when you feel weak. Remind your mind that you are chosen even when you feel overlooked. Remind your mind that you are progressing even when you cannot see the evidence. Remind your mind that you are protected even when life feels unstable. Remind your mind that you are guided even when the path is unclear. Your mind will obey the voice that speaks the most often, not the voice that speaks the loudest once. Your consistency is stronger than your anxiety. Your repetition is stronger than your insecurity. Your instructions are stronger than your fear. Talk to your mind until old belief systems collapse. Talk until your mental environment changes. Talk until the thoughts that used to intimidate you lose their power. Talk until clarity rises above confusion. Talk until peace becomes your new normal. For 3 days, your mind must not hear one sentence that belittles you, weakens you, insults you, condemns you, or sabotages you. Your mind must hear strength. Your mind must hear faith. Your mind must hear identity. Your mind must hear authority. You must talk yourself into alignment. Your mind has been shaped for years by voices that did not care about your destiny. The voices of criticism, rejection, comparison, failure, and trauma built patterns in your mind that you carried into adulthood without realizing it. But now you must become the voice that rebuilds the structure of your mental world. You cannot let the voices of yesterday be louder than the voice you carry today. For 3 days, you must outtalk every internal enemy. You must outtalk every lie. You must outtalk every fear. You must outtalk every emotional wound. You must outtalk every insecurity rooted in childhood. You must outtalk every failure that still whispers your name. You must talk until your mind knows who you are. Tell your mind you are disciplined. Tell your mind you are focused. Tell your mind you are stable. Tell your mind you are aligned. Tell your mind you are chosen. Tell your mind you are protected. For 3 days, your mind must hear these truths again and again until they become the new default setting. The enemy fears a believer who controls their own mind. A controlled mind is a dangerous weapon. A disciplined mind is an undefeatable force. A spiritually trained mind cannot be manipulated by circumstances or emotional sabotage. Your mind will always reflect the voice you trust the most, so make your own voice trustworthy. Make your voice consistent. Make your voice stable. Make your voice full of spiritual authority. For 3 days, you must talk like someone constructing a new mental identity. Identity is not felt, it is built. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is a mental decision repeated until the mind accepts it as reality. Strength is not something that suddenly appears. It is something that grows through daily instructions. Your mind wants direction. If you do not lead it, it will follow anything. Talk to your mind until thoughts align with purpose. Talk until your mind becomes a partner instead of an obstacle. Talk until your mind supports your calling instead of sabotaging it. Talk until you feel the shift internally. Talk until new thoughts begin to rise naturally. Talk until faith becomes instinctive. Talk until the atmosphere inside your mind changes so deeply that anxiety feels foreign and peace feels familiar. Your mind is waiting for you to show up with authority. For 3 days, give it no other option. Speak with conviction. Speak with clarity. Speak with intentionality. Speak with spiritual weight. Speak until your mind kneels to truth. Speak until your internal world honors your identity. Speak until your mind stops dragging your spirit backward. Speak until your mind becomes the loudest instrument of your destiny rather than the quiet enemy of your potential. Your future bends toward the identity you declare over yourself, and whether you realize it or not, you have been shaping your life with sentences you thought were harmless. Every time you said you were not good enough, your future bent in that direction. Every time you said you were too broken, too late, too flawed, too ordinary, too damaged, your future shifted to accommodate the weight of that declaration. The future does not argue with you. It adjusts to your identity. Your destiny does not fight your words. It follows them. This is why the next 3 days of talking to yourself carry immense power. You are not just speaking into the air. You are molding the path ahead of you. The identity you declare today becomes the atmosphere you walk in tomorrow. The identity you reinforce today becomes the doors that either open or remain shut. Your future is not waiting for new opportunities. It is waiting for a new identity to escort them. You cannot become who you refuse to declare. You cannot walk into a destiny you secretly speak against. You cannot step into greatness while calling yourself small. You cannot rise while declaring failure. You cannot lead while declaring confusion. Your identity is the unseen architect of your future. Speak weakly, and the future bows to your weakness. Speak boldly, and the future straightens itself to match your courage. Speak with authority, and the future aligns. Speak with defeat, and the future collapses inward. The future listens to your internal conversations before it listens to your prayers. Your identity is not formed by the words you speak in public. It is shaped by the ones you speak in private when no one is listening except your own soul. For 3 days, you must declare identity with precision, because identity is the compass of your destiny. You are not just someone living life. You are a voice directing your tomorrow. Every declaration is a seed, and every seed grows into something you must eventually live inside. If you speak from your wounds, you build a wounded future. If you speak from your fears, you build a fearful future. If you speak from your insecurity, you build a limited future. But if you speak from your God-given identity, you build a future that reflects your purpose, not your pain. For 3 days, you must plant seeds that carry power, truth, maturity, strength, and destiny. Tell yourself, I am chosen on purpose. Tell yourself, I am built for more. Tell yourself, I am stepping into clarity. Tell yourself, I am rising out of old versions of myself. Tell yourself, I am becoming who I was designed to be. Tell yourself, I am not shaped by what happened to me. I am shaped by who I choose to become. The future bends toward these kinds of declarations. The future recognizes these words. The future responds to these sentences. For 3 days, speak identity that matches the level of your calling, not the level of your comfort. Your identity is not what you feel. It is what you repeatedly declare until your mind believes it and your actions reflect it. Feelings have been lying to you. They told you you were weak when you were simply tired. They told you you were alone when you were simply hidden. They told you you were unloved when you were simply surrounded by the wrong people. They told you you were behind when you were actually being prepared. They told you you were broken when you were actually being rebuilt. Feelings cannot shape your identity because feelings are unstable. Identity must be built on truth that does not change based on circumstance. For 3 days, declare truth louder than emotion. Declare truth louder than memory. Declare truth louder than insecurity. Declare truth louder than fear. Your feelings do not get to write your identity. Your mouth does. Identity is not discovered. It is declared. You do not find who you are. You speak who you are until every part of your being aligns with it. The future cannot resist someone who speaks from identity rather than emotion. Your future bends toward the identity you choose, and identity is a choice. The problem is you have been choosing based on your past instead of your purpose. Choosing based on what people said instead of what God placed in you. Choosing based on failure instead of calling. Choosing based on embarrassment instead of vision. Choosing based on injury instead of assignment. For 3 days, you must choose a higher identity. Speak like someone who finally understands who they are. Speak like someone who refuses to dim their own value. Speak like someone who refuses to negotiate their worth. Speak like someone whose identity is not for sale. Tell yourself, I am disciplined. Tell yourself, I am focused. Tell yourself, I am wise. Tell yourself, I am favored. Tell yourself, I am strengthened. Tell yourself, I am stable. Tell yourself, I am called. Tell yourself, I am valuable. Tell yourself, I am spiritually dangerous to the enemy. Tell yourself, I am becoming the version of myself that the future requires. Your future bends toward this. Your future recognizes this voice. Your future begins to stand up straighter when you speak with identity instead of insecurity. For 3 days, you must speak identity until your internal world shifts. Speak until you no longer recognize the sound of the old you. Speak until doubt feels like a stranger. Speak until insecurity feels like an intruder. Speak until fear begins to shrink. Speak until your spirit rises. Identity grows through repetition. You are not lying to yourself when you speak from identity. You are reminding yourself of what heaven already declared about you. You are aligning with truth, not inventing it. Your future bends toward what heaven says, not toward what fear says. Talk to yourself for 3 days as someone who is breaking old patterns. Declare that generational cycles are ending with you. Declare that emotional patterns that kept you trapped are dissolving. Declare that your identity is no longer tied to your past. Declare that your value is no longer determined by who walked away. Declare that your worth is not up for negotiation. Declare that your voice is rising. Declare that your purpose is awakening. Declare that your strength is returning. Declare that your confidence is being rebuilt on a foundation that cannot be shaken. Your future bends toward this kind of identity. It bends towards someone who refuses to shrink. It bends towards someone who sees themselves as God sees them. It bends towards someone who walks in authority. It bends towards someone who speaks with confidence even before they see the evidence. The future is not shaped by what you have, it is shaped by who you believe you are. Identity becomes the magnet of destiny. When you speak identity, you pull the future toward you. When you speak weakness, you push the future away. Tell yourself, I am ready for more. Tell yourself, I am evolving. Tell yourself, I am maturing. Tell yourself, I am rising into alignment. Tell yourself, I am becoming the person who can handle the blessings coming toward me. Tell yourself, I am worthy of the opportunities designed for me. Tell yourself, I am prepared for divine doors. Tell yourself, I am aligned with purpose. Speak until these declarations take root. Speak until your soul absorbs them. Speak until your body begins to act like someone who believes them. Identity is not a feeling. It is a decree. For 3 days, decree who you are becoming. Decree what you will accept. Decree what you will reject. Decree the version of yourself you are choosing to embody. Decree the strength you are walking in. Decree the clarity you are stepping into. Decree the confidence you are developing. Decree the maturity that is rising. Decree the stability you are holding on to. Your future bends toward these decrees. It bends toward strength. It bends toward truth. It bends toward confidence. It bends toward clarity. For 3 days, speak identity so boldly that heaven bears witness and hell takes notice. Speak identity so fiercely that your past loses its claim on you. Speak identity so clearly that nothing in your life remains the same afterward. For 3 days, you must speak to yourself like someone who finally understands that your life does not change when circumstances shift, but when your internal authority awakens. The greatest transformation you will ever experience is not external. It is internal. It is not when people treat you better. It is when you treat yourself according to your real identity. It is not when doors open. It is when your voice opens inside you. Your mind is not waiting for a miracle. It is waiting for a leader. And for 3 days, you must lead yourself with boldness, truth, discipline, and conviction. You must speak with clarity until confusion loses its home. You must speak with courage until fear loses its throne. You must speak with identity until insecurity has no place left to sit. Your self-talk for these 3 days is not optional. It is the construction manual of your destiny. Many people are trapped not because life is heavy, but because their inner dialogue is weak. You cannot walk into a strong future with a weak internal voice. You cannot carry a divine assignment with a fragile self-view. You cannot live in purpose while speaking to yourself like someone unworthy of it. You cannot think small and end up living big. You cannot speak defeat and expect victory. For 3 days, you must talk to yourself like someone who knows the weight of destiny on their shoulders. You must talk to yourself like someone carrying heaven's blueprint. You must talk to yourself like someone who understands that your mind is listening to every instruction, every command, every declaration. Talk to yourself like someone who refuses to waste another season living below their design. Tell yourself that excellence is your new standard. Tell yourself that discipline is your new lifestyle. Tell yourself that confidence is your new tone. Tell yourself that purpose is your new priority. Tell yourself that peace is your new environment. Tell yourself that maturity is your new language. Tell yourself that focus is your new identity. For 3 days, your mind must hear nothing but strength, conviction, alignment, clarity, and truth. You must speak like someone shaking the foundations of the old you and erecting the new version that the future has been waiting centuries to meet. Do not whisper to yourself like someone apologizing for wanting more. Speak boldly. Speak with weight. Speak with conviction. Speak like someone who has survived enough to know they were not preserved for mediocrity. Speak like someone who understands the value of their own breath. Speak like someone who refuses to negotiate their identity with anyone, including themselves. For 3 days, speak like someone who has seen glimpses of their destiny and refuses to let their old mindset sabotage the future waiting to be born. Inside you is a version that you have not met yet. A stronger you, a wiser you, a focused you, a disciplined you, a healed you, a dangerous to the enemy you, a spiritually mature you, a courageous you, a purposeful you. This version of yourself does not emerge because life got easier. It emerges because your voice got stronger. Your identity expands when your self-talk shifts. For 3 days, you are not calling out the version you have been. You are calling out the version you were created to be. Tell yourself that you are not an accident. Tell yourself that purpose is not a dream. It is your assignment. Tell yourself that fear has no legal authority over your decisions. Tell yourself that insecurity is a lie that no longer carries your signature. Tell yourself that you will not shrink for anyone. Tell yourself that you will not betray your potential by living small. Tell yourself that you refuse to remain a prisoner of old chapters. Tell yourself that your future deserves a better version of you than the one fear tried to sculpt. For 3 days, build mental strength through deliberate speech. Strength does not grow in silence, it grows in declaration. Confidence does not rise by accident, it rises by repetition. Identity does not strengthen through emotion, it strengthens through instruction. Speak to yourself like someone building a fortress inside your mind. Speak like someone refusing to let doubt trespass. Speak like someone who understands that your voice is the gatekeeper of your destiny. If your voice is weak, your gate is unguarded. If your voice is strong, your destiny is protected. Tell yourself that your standards are rising. Tell yourself that your boundaries are maturing. Tell yourself that your vision is sharpening. Tell yourself that your spirit is awakening. Tell yourself that your potential is no longer being suffocated by fear or comparison. Tell yourself that you are not living another day apologizing for being chosen. Tell yourself that you no longer seek permission to be who you were created to be. Your voice must become the sound of permission for your own destiny. The environment inside you determines the environment around you. Chaos inside produces chaos outside. Peace inside produces peace outside. Discipline inside produces productivity outside. Clarity inside produces progress outside. Self-respect inside produces healthy relationships outside. Every external breakthrough begins with an internal conversation. You are not waiting for a new season. You are waiting for a new self-talk pattern. If you change how you speak to yourself, you will change what surrounds you. For 3 days, you must speak to yourself like you are in training for a promotion, because you are. Every destiny demands a certain level of internal strength, and your voice is what trains your mind into that strength. Talk to yourself like someone preparing to handle greatness. Talk like someone preparing to manage answers to prayers. Talk like someone preparing to be trusted with influence. Talk like someone preparing to rise out of the average. Talk like someone preparing to change generational patterns. Your voice is either preparing you or paralyzing you, and for these 3 days you must use it with intention. Tell yourself that you are no longer available for anything beneath your purpose. Tell yourself that you are done entertaining distractions disguised as comfort. Tell yourself that you will not let emotions dictate your decisions. Tell yourself that your future is too valuable to be negotiated with weakness. Tell yourself that you are walking towards something bigger than what you left behind. Tell yourself that your past will not be given the authority to shape your identity again. Your voice must become your breakthrough. Speak like someone building spiritual momentum. Speak until your mind begins to absorb new patterns. Speak until old thought cycles collapse. Speak until you feel your spirit pulling you forward. Speak until heaven recognizes your tone. Speak until hell panics at your growth. Speak until you feel the internal shift that cannot be undone. Now, as the 3 days unfold, there will be moments when your mind tries to drag you back to familiar doubts. You must not negotiate. Speak louder. Speak firmer. Speak with more authority. Your mind is not your master, it is your servant. Train it, direct it, command it. Your mind will always follow the voice that refuses to retreat. So refuse. Tell yourself that you are walking out of the old version of you. Tell yourself that you are breaking mental agreements you never should have signed. Tell yourself that you are stepping into maturity that your younger self prayed for. Tell yourself that you are not repeating the cycles that broke the versions before you. Tell yourself that you are becoming someone your future self will thank you for. Tell yourself that greatness is not a fantasy. It is a responsibility. For 3 days, you must speak with such intensity that your mind has no choice but to follow. Speak until every part of your internal world feels the weight of your new direction. Speak until the old you lets go. Speak until the new you rises. Speak until your entire mental world is rearranged. Speak until your voice becomes the sound of spiritual authority inside you. And here's the shocking part, the part that will confront you, stretch you, and challenge you to your core. If you talk to yourself for 3 days with intentional, disciplined, bold, identity-shifting declarations, when the third day ends, you will not return to the version of yourself you were before. Something in you will die. Something in you will be buried. Something in you will be silenced forever. The old version of you, the one that doubted, feared, apologized, hesitated, and shrank, will not survive this level of self-command. Identity warfare leaves casualties, and the first casualty will be the old you. When you talk to yourself for 3 days with this level of authority, you will wake up on the 4th day as someone unrecognizable to your fears. Your past will no longer know where to find you. Your insecurities will no longer respond when they call your name. Your mind will no longer bow to old patterns. You will rise not because life changed, but because you did. And when you rise like that, nothing on earth and nothing in hell can put you back where you used to be.